I now have 4 kids, 1 son, 3 girls. It says, the statistic popped in my head. It says, a son raised without a father in the household is 5 to 10 times more likely to be incarcerated. And then the next statistic came in my head, and it says, girls raised without a father are 5 to 10 times more likely to have preteen pregnancies. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe this is rushing in my head right now. And the next one, in a family, if a parent commits suicide, your children then are 8 to 10 times more likely to then commit suicide. Put my gun down. I was like, man, I'm so messed up right now. I go in my living room, I put on Cornerstone TV, which is a church channel. I'm like, I'm so messed up right now. So I'm a sniper and a sniper instructor, and I was like, hey, I need to get zeroed in life. I need to go back to what is true, and that's Christ. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start going back to church, bring my family to church every Sunday, and I was like, I will work 6 jobs. I will work every second of the day. That means giving my children the best life they have. So I get out, I work, guys like us, most of us go out to the private sector. I worked for a company that used to be called Blackwater. I got hired as a sniper, and I was like, hey, 6 figures starting sounds like a pretty good deal. Get deployed as a warfighter, for private military contracting if it's worth, your daughter's life to help those. So as I go, we now move up to the Children's Hospital Philadelphia, and I head down to Blackwater's, the academy down there. And I got my life on track. I'm bringing my kids to church. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to lead them to Christ. I'm trying to live a good life. And at this point, I'm walking through the halls of Blackwater, and all of a sudden, it felt like I got struck by lightning. And I try to explain it like that because there's no other way to truly explain it. Every fiber in my being, every hair on my body was standing up. And I heard, that's the first and only time I've ever heard the audible voice of God. It says, you have to save them. Let's go. And I was so confused. And I walked down the hall, go into a room, and I see the TV. And it was Kabul, Afghanistan about to fall. And I see what's going on. I was like, man, what can I do? And the next voice said, anything. I was like, Roger, just like a military operation, you got given a mission, you got given mission orders, and it was like, Roger. So I knew 10 people, those 10 people called 10 people, and 10 people called 10 people, and quickly, in 24 hours, I had a 6 American family trapped in Afghanistan, Kandahar, Afghanistan, and he was a dual citizen from Alaska. So he was given 6 days that his oldest 14-year-old girl and his 11-year-old girl would be sold and raped off to the Taliban in 6 days. So I was like, Roger, got a mission, got purpose, got commander authority from God. It's like, got it. I will, and I got given a timeline, 6 days. Quickly, 24 hours after that, I made a deal. I had a foreign Polaris group, and we had a 50-acre compound in Alaska. We owned now an LLC in the company. With, like I said, a lieutenant colonel ranger regiment retired, and we had a 6-man joint special operations team filled with Force Recon, Green Berets, and Navy SEALs, and an agency member. 24 hours after that, we had a plane and authorization to land in Afghanistan. And on the 5th day, 1 day before his kids were about to be raped and sold off to the Taliban, we got him out, him and his family out from the border. 45 minutes before that gate war. Quickly, all assets shifted to us, and within 2 weeks, boom, 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 we were able to rescue 55 Americans trapped out of Afghanistan. I went to DC. We were all told all NGOs, all nonprofits have to go meet in DC before it's sent in the House, and the State Department and other government agencies are going to come out, and they're going to see what everyone's doing, what everyone did, and what they can do in the future. And that's when I got voted and nominated to go and be a part of what is now called Save Our Allies, with Chad Robichaux, Tim Kennedy, a few others, Sarah Ferrardo, and I became the 6th pillar for Save Our Allies. That's when I met Chad Robichaux. He told me, hey, how would you feel if you went to Afghan and rescued the rest of them? I said, hey, before I told my wife I was going, I told her Isaiah 6:8. I said, The Lord said unto thee, who will go for us? Who shall we send? I said, here I am, send me. The military has trained us with $1 million of the most elite training, and we beg for missions all the time. What better mission is to work for God and to do the right thing? So I told my wife that when I went, was like Chad, who I just met right then and there, he's like, hey, would you go with me and do a 90 miles border reconnaissance mission behind enemy lines, completely unsupported, to go rescue the rest of them? I don't know who you are. I've never met you, but if there's still other people, that means my mission's not done. So fast forward like a week, we go and do that mission. We were able to eventually, I was able to get 77 Americans in SIV, vetted SIV interpreters out of Afghanistan, and save our allies was ultimately able to get 14,000 in like 10 days. And I say this because this is not my story. This is truly God's story and God's miracle, God's ordained miracle, modern day miracle, and I just feel so lucky. When I swam across Afghanistan, I snuck in through Tajikistan, swam across Afghanistan in the Tangier River Valley, under machine gun observation, and to rescue those people, that changed my life. As I said earlier in my story, I spent 17 years in special operations, and I was convinced, after 13 deployments, I was convinced that God wanted me to be his war vessel. Multiple back-to-back deployments, almost every special operations school you can go to, just to be, I thought, his war vessel. When I realized that my life goal was not going from taking lives to saving lives, that 1 degree off. God didn't send me to all those deployments, back-to-back deployments, all those special operations schools to go out and wage war on myself and other people. When I went from taking lives to saving lives, he did that so I would be authorized, I would be certified to be the guy who swam across Afghanistan and to save people. And that changed my life. When I did that, it was an epiphany. It was like, all that torment, all that stuff I put myself, my family through, and everything. It was so that I could be qualified and ordained by God to go rescue those people who died so many times. So now I dedicate the rest of my life to go and help people. Went to Ukraine when the war first kicked off. In the first 9 months, did 4 tours out to there. Was able to pull up 65 people, triple amputees, double amputees, women, children were being fled, and now we're in like 6 different countries. And I formed a nonprofit of Heroes for Humanity who goes out and does the right thing for the right reasons, gets veterans, gets first responders, and other people like yourselves to go up, step up, do the right thing, because that's what the Lord calls us to do. Just like a couple of years ago, like I said, when I swam across Afghanistan and I realized that, I then dove hard into Scripture and then fully seeing what God's ordained miracle could do, and what He did in my life, it was amazing. I was a broken man alone. I had a resume that people would have killed for. They would have given their lives to have, and it almost cost me my life. And Dennis Price alone, without Christ, was a broken man who was depressed, massive PTSD, to drinking, to outrageous anger bursts, to everything like that. But now through Christ, all I do is try to bear my cross daily, focus on what the Lord tells us, just like in James 1:27, it says, the religion that our Father calls us pure and faultless is to look after the widows and the orphans in their time of distress, and not to succumb to these evils of this world. It doesn't say, unless you have a family. It doesn't say, unless you are busy or anything like that. But that's what the Lord our Father calls us to do. What religion is pure and faultless is to look after the widows and their orphans in their time of distress. I'm here to tell you, the number 1 largest business in the world is children trafficking. That is ridiculous. First, it's the number 1 largest business in the world, which means there's the number 1 largest consumer in the world. And the reason why that's still happening is because we are sitting here silent. We are sitting here and we are saying, I have to worry about my family. I have to worry about my family. Well, it takes a village to raise a family. You're only worried about your internal house, and that is why our village is so messed up. So I'm telling you, Christ has done amazing things in my life. I'm telling you because I was a broken man without Christ, and now I'm here to encourage you guys to step up, do the right thing, volunteer with the churches, volunteer with organizations who are out there doing amazing things, because that's what the Lord calls us to do. Like I said, I could reference a million other scriptures, just like how James 1:27 says. But ultimately, that is what we're here to do. We cannot blame the world for being so messed up, because God calls it. We live in a fallen world. That is only B and C effects, second order and third order effects of things. We are the hands and feet of God. What are you doing with the spiritual talents and gifts in your life? You know, like I said, before Christ, like, I was a broken man. On Memorial Day, you see guys who just didn't die in combat. You see guys who died in training. I have a list of buddies who died in training, just like my fire last night. Austin Gibson died in a free fall accident, paralyzed and neck down. He gave his life to his country, you know, and then he eventually passed. A lot of guys struggle. You hear 22 veterans die a day for suicide. To put things into perspective, because we give a lot of flack to people and we say that's the coward's way out. I'm telling you, I had a gun in my hand and everything. I did not have the courage to do that. It takes a lot of bravery to do something like that, but it also takes a large voice in your head to do that. Catch it early on, catch it and be involved in that guy's life and be there to counsel him and lead him to Christ. Because like I said, I had a God-shaped hole in my heart and in my soul. I try to fill it with everything. And only through Christ was I able to live the life I do now. And I have to do it every day. Just like it's in the Bible, it says, we have to bear our cross daily. Death to oneself, pick up your cross and bear your cross daily. And I said, you know, in James 1:27, he says a plain simple, to look after the widows and the orphans in the time of stress, and not to succumb to these things. So some of my buds, they fell victim. And we always just say, oh, and war. And there's a lot of guys, 22 a day plus, who are memorialized because they have the devil in their head. But please, reach out. Get involved in the Word. Teach your children. Teach your wife. If you went to heaven right now and your kids are not there, what did you do on this? So stand up, do something, set the example for others, because that's what the Lord calls us to do. I appreciate you guys for allowing me to come up and talk and share my testimony, what God's doing in my life, to shed some light on you know, mental illness, to PTSD, suicide, any of the stuff, the after effects of war, and to remember the fallen and what each day us veterans struggle with to bear our cross daily, and that we'll receive phone calls from them decades on time. Did you hear about Jake? Jake was my buddy last week. He lost that fight. Suicide. You know, we get calls daily to weekly. So support those guys, bring them to Christ, use your platform, use your social media, use whatever you can. Be fishers of men. I appreciate you. Thank you.